Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity.
Yes, those were the days when Democrats were pretty much on our side. Franklin Delano Roosevelt talking about the Normandy invasion, D-Day, 81 years ago today. You know what that means, because today's Friday. That means today I'm going to play the audio of my father, as my brothers and I used to call him, our Father who art in heaven. Going to play the audio today of my father, the United States Navy fighter pilot, WWII, World War II, D-Day +1. It's a fan favorite. And we're going to post online today not only the audio, but with a video. It's a slideshow of photographs. And we'll post that today, too, to honor all that served in World War II and beyond. It's an annual ritual here on the Chris Plante Show, and I look forward to sharing it with you again today. Normally I do it D-Day +1, depending on because that's when the recording was made, D-Day +1. But tomorrow's Saturday, so unless you all want to reconvene again tomorrow morning, I think it would be best if I played it today. I've got that in the works. But that's not now D-Day. The D-Day anniversary is a very important thing to acknowledge and to commemorate. But a lot has happened since we last convened 21 hours ago yesterday. And Donald Trump, President of the United States, most powerful man in the world, and his pal, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, they had a little bit of what was it? How should that be described? A back and forth, a spat. It's like a high school rivalry. It's kind of an interesting set of circumstances. And where did it go? Where will it go? It is a fascinating situation, I've got to say. President Trump's erstwhile friend? I don't think he's erstwhile. I don't think he's a former friend. I think that they'll probably make up and everything will be fine. Maybe not today, though. Maybe not today, though. A lot of stuff, a lot of back and forth. And I think that the nuclear bomb was Elon Musk saying on Twitter back and forth, saying, the reason they haven't released the Jeffrey Epstein files is because Donald Trump's name is right there in the middle of the Jeffrey Epstein files. And that led the communists at CNN, the communist news network. They have Van Jones. Van Jones, a racist and a communist, makes him a perfect Democrat, actually. And he was an Obama guy. Remember, the chairman Mao Zedong-loving Obama administration official, Anita Dunn, she's saying the praises of Van Jones. Say, we were waiting for him. We stalked him. We had to bring him into the federal government because he's a communist, and he hates America, too, and wants to completely destroy anything that resembles the United States of America. They don't want to liberate the world from fascism. They're the fascists. That's the thing about Anita Dunn, and about Van the Communist Jones, too. And the communist Van Jones, do you think it's better, Michael, as Van the Communist Jones or the Communist Van Jones? I'm gonna struggle with that for a little bit. But the Communist Van Jones, Van the Communist Jones, he was on CNN yesterday. Who was he on with? It was Axelrod, right? Yeah, it was David Axelrod. And he is a former journalist. What's the difference? And then a Democrat barn burner. They're not having a party. They're just firebombing things, as they're very fond of doing, like Jews and Jewish governors and Teslas. Do they think that Elon Musk is Jewish? Is Elon Musk Jewish? I don't even know. But if the Democrats think he is, then he's in even more danger, because the little fascists that they are, they're out there firebombing and shooting people. They're the left. They're not liberals. Keep that in mind. But in any case, big back and forth yesterday, and Elon Musk threw out, Trump's name is in the Epstein files, and that's why they haven't been released. It's like, whoa, this is getting ugly and getting personal. And then actually Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer came out. I don't know if he's gay or not, but he came out. He came out yesterday as a lawyer, which is probably worse. I'm not sure. And he kind of straightened that out, and I'll share that with you too. Interesting stuff. But we've got some news for you to update on all of that. The Wall Street Journal has the day that Trump and Musk torched their partnership. And the Wall Street Journal kind of lays out what in Washington they like to call the TikTok. I think that's in honor of the Chinese app, isn't it? Because Washington. But we've got that, and I've got the rebuttal and the counter rebuttal and the counter rebuttal and all that good stuff. Also, the left-wing radical extremist barn burners at Mediaite. Elon Musk's spat with Trump erased $34 billion of his wealth. That will be a lie because Mediaite is a bunch of lefties and they're commie fascists and they lie about everything. And even if it were true, it would be for about 5 minutes and then everything would be okay again. But never mind that. And even if it never came back, he started out with $400 billion. He's probably okay. It's not kidding. He can still go to the drive-thru. Everything's all right. And Musk appears to endorse Trump impeachment. That actually happened for a minute. Who's that? Ian Miles Chong, very well known in Twitter circles and historically fun guy. Ian Miles Chong put out something about impeaching Trump, and Elon Musk jumped in and seemed to think that's a good idea and endorse that. So a little back and forth there. Wah, wah, wah. And another headline from the Daily Mail out of the United Kingdom, not even the United States of America. Elon Musk pushes wild Trump body double conspiracy theory as their bromance implodes. That's their bromance. They like to sexualize everything because they're all demented and mentally up. AOC, then the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she... Hey, did they ever get that Amazon thing in New York? That she scared him away and they never came back, right? She's a communist. AOC revels in Trump-Musk blow-up. The girls are fighting, she said, and then she self-immolated and detonated her suicide vest because they're very, very demented people, very mentally ill people. Amazing stuff. And again, I got this Van Jones for you. Van Jones, Trump should immediately fire, investigate, and prosecute. That's because that's what communists always do. He wants to build the Gulag Archipelago, knock everybody's teeth out with rifle butts, actually have somebody else do it, as commies always do. And Van Jones is a commie. He's a communist. He's a mainstream Democrat, an Obama administration official, a media darling. They want to date him. They want their daughters to date him, or rather they want him to date their daughters. Amazing stuff. And, of course, being a communist, it's always the communist response. Fire, investigate, and prosecute. Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime. He's Lavrentiy Beria of the Joseph Stalin KGB, but never mind that. And Joel Pollack putting out the Van Jones communist totalitarian jail everyone, start a civil war. They want a shooting war in the United States. And Joel Pollack said, even the quote-unquote reasonable people on the left, I wouldn't put Van Jones in that category myself, never seem to lose their totalitarian urge to jail their opponents. Sig Heil, fascist Jones. Honestly, as you've heard of Basketball Jones, he's like fascist ball Jones. He's that's who he is. Isn't that amazing? Van Jones, yeah, Trump should immediately fire, investigate, and prosecute all the Doge people. They're little Hitlers, and that's why they call everybody else Hitler, because they're projecting. They got a lot of projection problems. Speaking of which, another fascist, communist, run-of-the-mill Democrat, the Boston mayor, radical extremist Michelle Wu. Wu, any relation to the Wuhan Red Death? Oh, I think there's a relationship, all right. Boston mayor Democrat, radical leftist Wu, blasted by feds for comparing ICE agents who wear masks because their lives are being threatened by cartels and by Democrats who are firebombing and shooting everybody, just like in 1861 all over again. But Boston Mayor Wu blasted by feds for comparing masked ICE agents to neo-Nazi group. See, there they go calling everybody Nazis while they're firebombing the Jews and waving in the Islamists of the Muslim Brotherhood who are using Molotov cocktails to set the Jews on fire. That's the Democrat Party, burning the Jews, firebombing the Jewish governor's house, firebombing everything, shooting people. They're the left. They're not liberals. All right, so, and Homeland Security says Boston mayor comparing ICE agents to neo-Nazis is sickening. They're the third world. I've been saying this. First, they're not liberals. They're the left. Right? Let's start with that. When they're not liberal, they're really not liberal. But they are comparing everybody to Nazis because they're projecting. And some group of people I've never heard of in my life, that Michelle Wu, I think she's promoting this obscure, nobody ever heard of it, Nazi group. Now their membership will actually grow because Michelle Wu, she might be a Chinese communist sent here by the Chinese Communist Party, maybe from Wuhan, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. It's possible that they grew her in a petri dish there and then loosed her in the United States of America, and the Democrats made her mayor of Boston because these communists, and honestly, let's keep in mind that the Nazis, Adolf Hitler's Nazi party, they were the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, just by the way, because isn't that true? And I did mention today is the anniversary. It's the 81st anniversary. Fewer and fewer veterans storming the beach. Alive today, but there are veterans alive today that stormed the beach at Normandy, and that's some sturdy stock. These people. I got to tell you, anybody around here, let me know. I'll buy you beers. You're drinking beers. I'm buying amazing stuff. And again, we'll play the audio of my father, which I like to play about once a year, and I look forward to playing that today. Good stuff. Omaha Beach. Today I was going back and forth with friends on the Normandy anniversary, and I have a little bit of a rock collection at home. I'm loath to call it a rock collection, but I've collected some rocks from around the world, and from the Acropolis and the Parthenon and Nelson Mandela's jail cell and some places here and there. I got some, but one of the things I did my first visit to Omaha Beach, Normandy, France, Europe, Earth, and I actually brought home a little Ziploc bag of sand from Omaha Beach. And when I got home, I put it in a glass vial, V-I-A-L, not V-I-L-E, like Democrats, V-I-L-E, a little glass container, V-I-A-L, used for science and things. But I have a vial of sand that I got because that's my rock from Omaha Beach at Normandy. And one of my friends texted me, well, if everybody took a vial of sand from Normandy when they visited, there wouldn't be any Normandy to visit, would there? See, I'm pretty sure he was kidding. He was kidding. And it's funny. And so I got that. And then my second visit, I got a small shell, a little shell from the beach there, and I put it on top of my glass vial of sand from Omaha Beach at Normandy. It's kind of like a second award in the United States military on your ribbon. You got a second award. But I got two visits to Omaha Beach at Normandy and to the cemeteries there. And by the way, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, he is in Normandy as we speak, participating in ceremonies there, and said there were Normandy veterans there for the event, and that he went and shook hands with every one of them, met up with every one of them. Great stuff. And speaking of World War II, it's got nothing to do with World War II. Tom Cruise, the movie star Tom Cruise, well, he was in Risky Business, I think, wasn't he? Wasn't he in Risky Business? And he was in something since then, too. But Tom Cruise is now in the Guinness Book of World Records. He's apparently in the Guinness Book of World Records because he pulled off a crazy stunt. It's a movie stunt, but kind of fun, I've got to say, and took a bit of courage. Give Tom Cruise credit where credit is due. So I've got that coming up too. Got that coming up. Yeah, and honestly, the day that Elon Musk and Donald Trump torched their partnership, isn't that amazing? From the Wall Street Journal today, I have that coming up as well. We remain at 888-630-9625 on this Great American Friday on D-Day. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, let us go to the telephones, talk to the great American people on this anniversary of the Normandy invasion. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. Let us go to Gene, calling from Youngstown, Ohio. Gino, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. It's a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you. Hey, my BS detector's going off, and not real strong, but I've always relied on it. And this thing between Elon and Trump, is there any possibility they orchestrated this thing? Because, you know, Elon's done with his service. He's going back to his business and everything. And I thought maybe they'd come up with this to try to give Elon some cover so he could get these stupid lefties off his back and quit burning his dealerships, because it's got to be driving his dealers nuts to have that threat. It's got to be affecting business. And I know you know Saul Alinsky, rule number 5, but how about rule number 6? I can't remember it exactly, but it goes something like, do your narrative or do your thing until you think it's fading with your with your base, basically. And I'm witness a little bit of that. I haven't heard too much about the Kilmore Garcia, and I'm thinking that's kind of worn out with their base, so they're giving up on that and moving on to other things. Maybe they'll give up on Musk if they think Musk isn't worth, bothering with anymore. What do you think?
Very interesting. I've got to tell you, Gene, I wouldn't sell short your thinking. I wouldn't. It's a crazy world, and politics and big business, and I love the Saul Alinsky reference also, and rules for radicals. Rule number 6: a good tactic is one your people enjoy. It's one your people enjoy, and that's true. That he does go on to say that at some point it may wear thin, and it's interesting because President Trump, I said he used a phrase very much like wearing thin, describing Elon Musk yesterday. A back and forth. I think they're going to end up friends at the end of this anyway. Well, and in fact, interestingly, the bill on the Hill might end up stronger because of this.
I hope so, because I paid a lot of money to have a personalized plate on my truck, Musket, Muskit, and I don't want to have to get rid of it.
Wow, no kidding.
I'm going to be Trump. I'm going to be Trump forever. But I did really like Elon, and I really wish he would musket all the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Very interesting, Gene. I love it. What a great call. And I love the license plate too. Good for you. This back and forth yesterday. This is, it's above my pay grade. That's for sure. I'd like to think that I wouldn't be caught up in something like this, but what do I know? I'm not the President of the United States or the richest man on the planet Earth, so... Oh, it is pretty funny, I've got to say. Our friend Jim just texted from Texas, from Dallas, Texas. So, the Donald Trump, Elon Musk dust-up. Said he heard someone say that this might turn out to be the gayest event of Pride Month. What? What is it? That's completely crazy. It was but kind of funny. A little bit funny, too. As this back and forth was pretty crazy. And Gene from Youngstown, Ohio, his antenna went up. And he says, is this whole thing staged? Is this contrived? Was this made up? Is there an objective at the end of the rainbow here? And I've got to say, I'm not sure I necessarily buy into that. But once the back and forth started, I think both of them recognize that they're putting on a show for the whole world and for certainly the United States of America, because our entire political system, I've been saying for years, is it's been reduced to a terrible cable television show. The presidency is like The Bachelor. And instead of getting a date, is that the one where you get a rose? I don't know. And instead you get the White House and Air Force One and the presidency, because it all comes down to process on cable television, on cable news. Isn't that amazing? And that is maybe not as it should be, and not us at our best. But I've got to say that a great deal of the time. And President Trump recognized very early on, coming from his world, his unique world, as a gigantic billionaire New York real estate developer and builder and building around the world, and then having the TV show was on NBC, I think, wasn't it? And You're Fired. And then he got into politics, coming down the golden escalator, Trump Tower in New York. And he recognized immediately, and I think everyone knows, the whole thing is a television show. And he's the most powerful man in the world. He's the president of the United States for a second time after the Democrats. We won't get into that right now. But a lot of stuff going on here, and I want to share it with you as we go forward. One of the tweets was Elon Musk. This is President Trump on Truth Social, sending out, Elon was wearing thin, and he put wearing thin in quotation marks. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate, his electric vehicle mandate, that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do. And he just went crazy. That's what Donald Trump said, and crazy's in all capital letters. And I can't speak to what was going on inside of Elon Musk's brain, that's for sure. But there is a lot to talk about here. My best girl and I, we were out last night, and we were out in the afternoon, and then we were out in the evening, and it was the primary topic of conversation with us and with the people around us, people that we didn't know. It was a big deal yesterday, that's for sure. A lot to say about it, and I'll go through the chronology as best I can, because it hasn't been put together perfectly, I think, the chronology, but I'll see what I can do. We've got that going for us. In the meantime, Michael, let's go to the telephones again. Let's go to Rob, calling from Montgomery County, Maryland. Rob, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, good morning to you, sir, and thank you again for all you do for all of us. You keep our sanity in wellness mode. I had something from yesterday when the Dems were all going crazy with everyone's going to die and whatnot. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, when are the Republicans going to start to get out in front of the mics and whatnot and start, deterring all this stuff? You never hear a peep from any of our representatives, none. I know they're actually doing their work behind the scenes. They're actually working, but not getting in front of a camera. But when are they going to start to really start doing? It just seems like they never, ever come out like you do. It seems like you're doing the job of a lot of our congressional people and Senate and senators. It's just, it boggles my mind.
I don't disagree with anything that you've said. It boggles my mind as well. And I've said before, they should really hire me because they're famously terrible for millions and millions of dollars. They spend millions and millions of dollars on getting all kinds of bad advice. President Trump, they learned nothing from President Trump, Rob. President Trump is president for a second time of the United States because he punches back, because he's the first person with an R after his name, certainly in modern times, if not ever, that punches back. And when the Democrats go crazy on him, well, get out of the way, because here comes Trump, and he's gonna knock you in the head. And he says it time and time again. I'm a counter puncher, President Trump says.
Exactly.
And he doesn't go after you, but when they come in, they slander and smear and slime you, as the left constantly does. They breathe slime. They live on slime. And President Trump comes along and he punches back, and he is, and he's the hero of the day. Now, all the jackals of the news media chase him down and seek to slake their thirst on his blood because they're just part of the Democrat Party and the left. They're not honest arbiters, and they're not looking for the truth. But President Trump punches back. And where are Ted Cruz did it for a while, and he became the villain of the year because the filthy, corrupt Democrat Party front groups that we call the news media They went after Ted Cruz. And again, Ted Cruz, Harvard Law School, and Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz of Harvard Law School declared that Ted Cruz, one of the smartest students, and he'd been there for 50 years or something, one of the smartest students he ever had was Ted Cruz. And then he was asked about Barack Obama, and he said, and Alan Dershowitz said, Barack Obama went to Harvard Law School too, and that was about it. But the truth is, and I agree with you 100%, Rob, the Republicans need to fight back. They need to be ferocious. They need to be able to message as a verb, which they haven't been able to do for years. They should really hire me and a couple of my friends. I'll create an LLC for them, and they should ask me what they should be saying because they can't seem to figure it out. And I've been amazed by that forever. I've got to tell you, I was talking to my best girl this morning. I kid you not, Rob, sitting on the couch going through stuff for today's show. And I said, and I have no desire to be in politics. And the reality is only people that have no desire to be in politics should be in politics. Only people that don't want to be president of the United States should be made president of the United States. Because anybody that really wants to be president of the United States, I don't know, I find that to be odd, but that's me. And the messaging thing has frustrated me and annoyed me for years. I find it to be pretty easy. And one of the things they have to do, Rob, is tell the truth about the Democrats, And I do that all the time.
Do you think?
Yeah, right.
You have my vote, Chris. You have my vote forever.
I tell you, just tell the truth about these people. The firebombing, the Klansmen, the Confederate States of America, Jim Crow, the SDS, the Weather Underground, the terrorists, the KKK. The history of the Democrat Party should be on parade every day. And senators and members of the House and governors should be out there hitting Democrats over the head with the truth. Just the truth.
Exactly.
The Democrats lie about you if you're a Republican all day, every day. And if you're a Republican, really what you should do is tell the truth about the Democrats. Call me old-fashioned. Crazy, man, crazy.
No, you're not old-fashioned. You speak the truth.
Yeah, well, and that's not in vogue these days, is it? That's not a very...
No, you have that right. And they need to remember that it's our money, not theirs.
Yeah, right.
Our money.
Yeah, what are you doing with our money? I got up long before the sun today. I'm going to be working long after the sun goes down today, so I can, not just so I can pay my taxes, but then I'll pay my taxes. And then these crooks take the money that I worked so hard for, and they squander it in unimaginable ways on transgender musical theater in Chad or something, and circumcisions.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
They are amazing.
Have a great weekend. I'll be working tomorrow in the People's Republic of Montgomery County again.
Wow. Thanks, Rob. God bless you. And, the truth, it's all I want. My mother raised me to be thirsty for the truth. And she was a Democrat, but she wasn't a crazy person because they weren't all crazy then. If John F. Kennedy were alive today and he were a Democrat, they'd shoot him in the head again because it's what they do. Now, and Rob was just talking about a couple of things and how Republicans should punch back, and Donald Trump does, and it's worked pretty well for him in the world of politics to punch back, to counterpunch, to tell the truth, to hit him where it hurts. And where it hurts is right in the truth, kick him right in the truth, and they don't know what to do. But we played this soundbite yesterday of Chuck Schumer, also known as the Lizard King, who threatened the lives of Supreme Court justices, and then a would-be assassin showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's house with a gun and ammo and kidnapping tools and burglary tools. And the news media acted like it was, a parking violation. It was no big deal at all. Of course, they acted like that when a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer shot and nearly killed Congressman Steve Scalise, too. And they acted like that when a Democrat showed up in Butler, Pennsylvania, shot Donald Trump through the ear because, missed it by that much. And the Democrats literally were saying out loud, well, gee, too bad, maybe next time, because they're the left. They're a bloodthirsty gang of ghouls. But Chuck Schumer, he's the Democrat leader in the United States Senate.
Here's the "We Are All Going to Die" Act. We're all going to die bill. And that shows the callousness of this Republican majority in the House.
It's the We're All Going to Die Act. It's the bill to fund the government. And they just were $36 trillion in debt. You should be in handcuffs. You should go to prison for your portion of the $36 trillion. I'm actually being facetious, unlike Van Jones, who's a communist. However, I would like to, know they all become very wealthy people in big houses and lake houses and beach houses, and they fly private everywhere they go, and they're all millionaires, and they got giant stock portfolios, and they make $180,000 a year, which is good money, but it's not the kind of money that they have in the bank. It's a different thing altogether. Yeah, and it's the We're All Going to Die Act. How many Republicans have to be shot, Schumer, before you cool it with the genocidal apocalyptic rhetoric? You mental case, you anti-Semite. I know he's Jewish. I just want to call him an anti-Semite. You should call him a Nazi, probably call him a Nazi. Amazing stuff. And then, speaking of communists, CNN has a guy named Van Jones, literally a member of the Communist Party as a young man, not to be confused with John Brennan, the CIA director, who literally voted for the Communist Party candidate Gus Hall for president of the United States before Barack Obama made him CIA director, penitentiary face Brennan. And here's Van Jones on CNN with Democrat David Axelrod, who used to be a reporter before he became a Democrat, an Obama administration official, and all. He was always a Democrat, of course. And here's Van Jones on CNN yesterday, since we're all going to die. It's like Greta von Thunberg and all that stuff. And here's Van the Communist Jones.
Those Doge employees are very dangerous. If Donald Trump is smart, the first thing he's going to do is fire, investigate, and prosecute all of Elon's people who are all throughout government with their laptops downloading data right now.
Yeah. Fire, investigate, prosecute. And that leads to jailing, putting in prison Doge employees, who are these brilliant people, many of whom are CEOs. They're 50 years old, they're 40 years old, and the liars in the media tell you they're all 19 years old. If they were, they'd be 19-year-old geniuses. But Van Jones, being the communist that he is, that just amazing stuff, these people. He should fire, investigate, and prosecute all Doge employees. And then you guys should fire on Fort Sumter and bring back slavery like the Democrats in the old days. Oh, wait a minute. That's why you have millions of illegal aliens, because somebody's got to, what was the congresswoman said yesterday? Because they got to have illegal aliens in the United States to wipe their rumpus, to wipe their buttocks, to wipe them clean, because they're not good at hygiene. They need to bring in illegal aliens. They are the party of slavery. They're the party of the bullwhip and of Robert Mapplethorpe, for people that get that one.
I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our asses.
Yeah, we're not going to have anybody around if we don't have millions of illegal aliens. That's a Democrat congresswoman. We're not going to have anyone around to wipe our asses, she said. That's the Democrat Party. And if you're an immigrant to the United States, illegal or legal, that's the way the Democrat Party thinks of you, because they're the party of the bullwhip. They're the party of the plantation, the party of slavery, the party of the Molotov cocktail. They're the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? All right, I've got all kinds of information for you on the back and forth between President Trump and Elon Musk. And I have, interestingly, after Elon Musk said something, the attorney for Jeffrey Epstein came forward and had some choice words for what Elon Musk said. I have that for you coming up. We are at 888-630-9625. All right, I'm going to bring to you the what happened with the text messages and the back and forth between the most powerful man in the world versus the richest man in the world. Be Donald Trump versus Elon Musk, and this whole Jeffrey Epstein list. Why release the Jeffrey Epstein? Because Trump is on it. And it got obviously very personal. It got crazy fast. And last time with my best girls, politics is so insane. Why would any sane person want to go into the field of politics? I really don't know. But again, if you are repulsed by politics, maybe you should be required to go into politics. And if you really love it, you should probably be prohibited from going into politics. Elon Musk knew nothing about politics until a very short time ago, and I guess he got kind of a crash course. And the left, they're firebombing his cars and his dealerships and threatening to kill him. They're the left. Let's go back to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Craig, calling from the great Republic of Texas. Craig, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. Listen to you on Patriot Talk 920. I ran for office. I'm going to make this real quick because I know I had a commissioner call me at midnight one night many years ago, and he said, Craig, get over here. I need to talk to you right now. And I said, what? And he said, get here. I got to his driveway, standing outside in his boxer shorts, and he goes, we think you need to run for office. And I went, what? He said, well, we think you need to run for office. I said, who the hell is going to vote for me? And he goes, we think you're electable. Well, I got elected to office. I ran as a Democrat. It was a contentious, terrible race. I did a debate and chopped my opponent to pieces, but they came after me. And I started investigating corruption in the county that I was in. Next thing you know, I'm federally indicted. I'm charged with conspiracy, and I go to prison for 90 days, federal prison, arrested, surrounded me in black pajamas. And I was told that if we investigate and prosecute all the corruption on the local level, your state would be bankrupt. And I did not want to run for office. There's a lot more to this story, and I was asked to write a book about it. But I'm going to tell you something. Politics is an ugly business. They've been stealing that from us forever. And, I could tell you so much more, but there's not time for that here. I experienced things I would never experience, and I just tried to do the right thing. I don't want to compare myself to Donald Trump, but I've dealt with that on a small basis. I asked where money was at. Oh, we don't keep those records if it's under 5,000. Just every kind of excuse you could come up with. And next thing I know, I'm going to prison. And if it wasn't for someone anonymously paying for my federal lawyer, and was a very good one, I don't know who paid, but I would be in prison right now.
Wow.
I don't know who paid for me not to go.
Sounds like you do need to write a book. Now, let me ask you one quick question. Are you still a Democrat?
I wasn't really a Democrat then, to be honest with you, but it was the only way you could get elected. I was a blue dog Democrat, let's call it that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, wow.